Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Get It Bucket podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And as always, I'm joined by my guy, Kev. Kev, what's going on, bro?
Man, I'm good. College basketball has been a blast so far. We got some great matchups this past weekend that we'll get into, and of course today and further on during feast week. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to be talking. I can't complain, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, bro. A lot of good games, not just today, but this weekend and all that. It's already back up. Got a dub and all that, looking good and all that. But a lot of good games. We're gonna get into a whole bunch of teams and all that. UConn looking like they're on their on the quest to try to get back to back national championships. We're gonna talk about Indiana, them, they're looking a little, Kentucky. We'll get into all that, and Virginia, that offense, yeah, nasty. Nasty and all that. We'll talk about Purdue, their big win today versus Gonzaga, but some of the things we might be concerned about with Purdue, Tennessee looking good and all that. But Kev, let's get into the defending national champions. They had a good weekend and all that. They had a big win today versus Texas and all that. Klingman didn't wasn't effective, but they still did their thing and all that. I don't know about you, but I think they could damn well win the damn thing again. And today was like, definitely for me, definitely feel like they can definitely do it. Win the national championship today. Axe Caravan. We talked about this before. Like they lost a lot of guys.
Yep.
Hawkins was a lottery pick. Sanogo was big piece for them. Winning championship. Jackson, big piece. He was a second round pick. He went in the league and all that. He was the guy who do everything. And it's just like, you know what? We just filling in those spots. We'll just slide everybody, up a slot and just do it. The Caravan, you take Hawkins spot, you hit three. He had 4 threes today. Klingman, we know he was the backup. Yeah, he started. He didn't play a lot of minutes today and all that, but he's been very effective. We talked about Johnson. He's taking Klingman's spot essentially and all that. Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, taking the Dot Jackson spot. It feels like they're, just a oiled machine and all that. So, how are you feeling about this Uconn team? Do you think that it's possible that they can make another deep run? Because, and it's crazy. We talked about them so much last year with Coach Hurley, like, oh, maybe, he got to figure it out. And now it's like, not only did he figure it out, he might be one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the country and all. So for UConn, do you think they got what it takes to get to the Final Four again?
They have more than enough to get back to the Final Four this year in Phoenix and win it. I wouldn't even be surprised at this point if they won it. And I'm with you where going into the season, I was very hesitant just because they lost so much talent from last year, right? When you lose that much talent, it's always obvious for you to take a step back and not be the same. But give a lot of credit to Coach Hurley, his staff. They went out, developed, and recruited some big-time talent, and they right back into the thick of things. And winning that champions today, I forget the exact name of the classic, but it was at Madison Square Garden. Alex Caravan, you mentioned, right? Big-time player. He's only going to get better and better. He only has gotten better and better. He's way more than just a glue guy, right? Samson Johnson, major player. One of my favorite players on this team. He just flips games on their head, and he's a lob threat. He's active on the defensive end. Does all the little things. Tristan Newton, y'all already know how I feel about him. He was really good for them last year. He's only going to get more and more comfortable being in, that is his second year in stores, right? Cam Spencer, we were talking about him before we hopped on here. He looks like, compared to last year, he looked really good playing for Steve Peichel and Rutgers. But what he's doing this year so far, of course, it's still early in the season for UConn, though, has been nothing short of sensational, right? He just makes the good plays, smart plays, doesn't turn over the ball, isn't costly. Every time he's on the floor, he's making some type of impactful play to help his team take the lead or get the win. And so when I look at this team, depth-wise, overall talent, coaching, they have everything that you need. The point guard play, the wings, the bigs. They have all the recipe and it's everything that you need to be successful in college basketball. They have it. And again, I got to give a big salute to Danny Hurley because I did question him last year. And he's literally just took my narrative, ripped it up, and just threw it in the trash. And I'm not even mad at it because being a college basketball fan, I want to see UConn be good. I want to see Carolina be good. I want to see Duke be good. But for a minute, they were down. And of course, you had to give them some time. They were playing in a weak conference compared to the Big East, and he had to, really establish himself. But he's more than established himself now. And UConn, of course, we could say they were officially back last year, but now I can firmly say that UConn is here to stay, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And they're going to continue to be the blue blood program that they've been going all the way back, right? All the legends that they have come back there, starting with Coach Calhoun, right? So big salute to this UConn team. I cannot wait to watch the rest of the season pan out for them because they got it, man. And that's all I can really say about that.
Yeah, and they dominated Indiana yesterday, to get to the championship game in the Empire Classic and all that, and take care of business against a good Texas team. Texas missed some guys and all that, but still took care of business. And they're missing some guys. Stephen Castle was out, so they're missing a big piece of their team. And they didn't miss a beat. Klingman, like I said, only had, I think, 7 points and all. Didn't play a lot. Was in foul trouble, and they still took care of business. This team's scary. This team's scary. They're on their way to being, a number one seed and all that. And, I'm going to say I'm locking them in the Final Four. I'm locking them in. I'm locking them in the Final Four. I just think they're very well balanced and all that. And it's just it's kind of like the same team last year, just with different names. And Hurley has shown that he can coach. He's an elite coach. And they took care of business, and I expect them to do it the rest of the season and all that. But big win, they win the Empire Classic and all that in impressive fashion this weekend against two solid teams and all that. So they took good outing for UConn, and they're definitely going to be bumped up in the rankings and all that going forward and all that. But another team that dominated today, and a team that we've had some we've had our ups and downs with this team. Mr. Barnes, and that's the Tennessee Volunteers and all that. And I feel like there's still some of the same issues that we've had last year or this year, but defensively they're suffocating. And and they showed it in the Maui, especially against Syracuse, who have two potential NBA guards on this team, JJ Starr and Judah Mintz, and they shut them down. They shut them down. It was an ugly performance by those two, and Tennessee was able to take care of business. How do we feel about this Volunteers team this year? Because this was probably their biggest test so far, and they got some bigger tests coming up, and we'll mention that. But against a Syracuse team undefeated, like I said, got nice backcourt and all that different. Their offense is different. Obviously, we're not behind there and all. It looks a little bit more modern. And they're playing to what their talent is, but Volunteers came in and they took care of business. So how are we feeling about the Tennessee Volunteers this year? And do we think this is something that we're going to be seeing a lot from them this year?
I love this Vols team, man. And if y'all know me, I've been one of Rick Barnes' biggest critic, if not the biggest critic, right? Just because their defense is always on point. You never, ever question a Tennessee team's defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But offensively is where they always have their shortcomings every single season. And it always shows up come NCAA tournament time. And with this year's team, I can make a case that they probably had the best transfer portal class in the entire country between Dalton Connect coming over from Northern Colorado and Jordan Gainey coming over from USC Upstate. Those two dudes have been what we call immediate impact transfers, and they've both been elite at their jobs, right? Gainey is just a bucket getter. He can score from anywhere on the floor. And then Connect just looks like an NBA player. 6'6".
He is. He's going to be like a Christian Braun type. He's just going to plug and play.
Exactly. Defensively, he got to be better, but I think the more he picks up on their principles, he'll be fine. But when I look at this team, again, you got Sakai Ziegler back. He's a veteran. He's been there, done that. Same thing with Santiago Vescovi. He gives you another scoring punch. You got two quality big men and Toby Awaka, who got hurt today. Hopefully he's not too major, but him, Jonas Adu is another one, big-time shot blocker, rim presence, everything, right? Rebounders. Jemai Meshack, to me, is the biggest key on this team. Him and Josiah Jordan-James, they kind of offer you the same things, but I think Jemai is a little bit better of a defender and an overall playmaker on the offensive end. And so when you just have all these guys, I love this team because, again, defensively alone, that's going to keep them in 99% of the games that they play in this year easily.
Mhm.
But when you have a guy like Connect, especially who's capable for going off for 30 on any given team versus anybody, it's easy for him, right? I think he had 15 in the first half today. Like he just gets the job done. And so Rick Barnes got him a squad. I hope he doesn't fall short with this team, but to me right now they're clearly the best team in the SEC, and it's not even close as of today, November 20th.
And their defense, especially on the perimeter, is suffocating. Like I think they're top 10 in like per 3-point defensive percentage and all that. Like they have you cannot shoot the three on the perimeter defense has been on point so far this year. And but we're really gonna see what this Tennessee team is coming up because they got these next 4 games are going to be tough. They're going against the number 2 team in the country and Zach Edey and Purdue. They got Carolina. Even that George Mason team, that's a solid George Mason team. You can't, and we've seen upsets. We've seen some upsets, so they definitely can't take them lightly, and then they got Illinois after that. We know Illinois could beat any team in the country. They have the pieces, with Coleman Hawkins and Shannon and all that there. So, they got a nice stretch, so we'll get to see how they, how they're tested. But, their defense has just been suffocating so far, and that's what they did last year. I mean, so what they did to my Blue Devils, in the second round and all that. They out physicaled us, and that's been their MO so far this year. But their test is going to be, especially that next game against Purdue, and how it's going to be fun to see how they handle, Zach Edey, and if I'm Purdue, and we talked about that before the show, Purdue, their guards and all that, they're tiny, and that might be food for Tennessee, so, that's going to be a matchup. Let's go quick into that matchup since we're talking about that, Tennessee, Purdue, that's going to be a fun one tomorrow. Physical, possibly very physical game. We know Purdue's guards are, they got a year more experience and all that, but they are little. They got 6'4", 6 foot and all that. What do they need to do to get the win over Tennessee?
They got to make their defense play honestly, right? Because I think out the gate, Tennessee's going to just try and just be overly aggressive with them. So with that, you got to, first of all, be patient. Don't overreact. Understand what they're trying to do. You're going to have to hit them with them backdoor cuts. You're going to have to stay patient. You're going to have to go hit a body in order to get open, right? And you got to just do the little things. That's what it's going to be. And the main thing is going to be containing Dalton Connect. I don't know who is going to guard him from their team, if I'm being honest, because today they started Lawyer, Smith, Lance Jones, Trey Coffin-Ran, and Zach Edey. And I'm telling you, out of those 3 guards between Lawyer, Smith, and Lance Jones, Dalton Connect is going to be seeing food on all 3 of them. So he's 6'6", and all those guys are like below 6'3", if I'm not mistaken, 6'4".
6'4", yeah, 6'4", yeah.
So, and he's a lanky 6'6" at that too. So if I'm them, again, you got to take your time offensively. Don't let them get any transition opportunities. Make sure that they stay in the half court and they have to earn every single one of their buckets because they do want to get out and run because they have the athletes to do so this year. And just stay disciplined. That's all it is. Play your style of basketball. Don't get sped up. That's the main thing. Do not have careless turnovers. They're going to press you. They're going to get in your jersey. They're going to try and take you out of your rhythm. And Purdue's offense is very predicated on rhythm and get into their spot. So I'm curious to see how it's going to work out. But it's just all about just playing a smart brand of basketball. Don't overthink it. Don't make the situation bigger than what it is. And just play your style of basketball. That's all it comes down to. If they do that, they'll have a great shot to win it at the end.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to that matchup tomorrow because, it'll tell a lot about Purdue and all that, and Tennessee also. But Purdue, we got to see something from them. If right now people might think they're the best team in the country, but there's still that sour taste in everybody's mouth from what happened last year. So they got to show us something, because even today in the win versus Gonzaga, it was like it wasn't impressive. It was like Zach Edey. It was the recipe but that's we've seen how that potentially works in the tournament, and it's like, all right, well, we know Zach Edey. What about everybody else?
Exactly. And the biggest thing too I should have said they got a rebound. Today, I don't know what the exact numbers between them and Gonzaga were, but they gave up a lot of second chance opportunities to the Zags. And Tennessee is, in my opinion, a much better rebounding team than Gonzaga. So it's not just about Zach Edey getting them. It's not just about your bigs. Like rebounding is a team effort. The whole team needs to crash the glass and make sure that they seal and solidify their defensive stop. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Because if you get outboarded by this Tennessee team, I promise you, they're going to take advantage every single time.
Yep, definitely will, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. Can't wait for that one. That's one of the better games, obviously, for tomorrow slate and all that. But let's talk about Kentucky, and you know they got away with one today. You know, but I need people to that St. Joe's team is you know they're not ranked, but that's a solid team. You know,
Yep.
and especially when you're missing a lot of your bigs in Kentucky, that's not as bad as you know. I know it's closer to win than some. I'm sure Kentucky fans are going through it right now, but you know that St. Joe's team that might be a tournament team. You know, so don't be too mad at you only won by 8. But how do we like in the guard situation and all that? You know, obviously they got highly touted guards and all that, and they're still missing all their bigs. All their bigs are still out and all that. So I know I'm sure there's panic Kentucky fans and all that, but you know, I think they're gonna be straight once their bigs come back. How are we feeling about the guard rotation right now? I know DJ, we talked about this. I saw there was a possession right before the end of regulation. DJ, he did some he was doing some DJ stuff, and you could tell Cal was just wanted to like really ream into him, and it was like it felt like oh he's not doing that because that's a that's a second generation third generation kid right there. So you don't want to maybe if this was a regular with no lineage he might have ripped into him, but it felt like he held back because that's whack as Dewan's kid, so but how are we feeling about the rotation? We got, Dillingham come off the bench and all that, and obviously Wagner and all that. They're trying to get him going and all that. So how are we feeling about the guard rotation? Just how this Kentucky team potentially could look once they get, their bigs back soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I think this time of the year, early in the season, is the greatest time to experiment and kind of play with your roster, see what exact team you have, see what lineups work, see what lineups don't work. And right now, we know one thing for sure is that their 2 point guards are Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham. When those guys are in the game, they look a lot better as a collective team, right? And so you have to play through those guys. And DJ, to me, will be better off the ball just because he's never been a great playmaker when it comes to getting other guys involved. He's been a good one, right? Because he's just so elite at breaking down defenses. But I'll give him some time. A lot of freshmen, it takes them a minute to really, get adjusted to the college basketball game. And this is nothing like it. But you've seen even Kentucky fans will tell you, you go back and watch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's first 10 games of his, when he was at Kentucky, he struggled. But eventually he put together, found some confidence, understood where he can get his shots from and turn into a completely different player. Now, is that going to be the case for DJ? I hope so. It's not guaranteed, but we'll see. But as a whole, this team is talented, man. This team has everything for the most part. Of course, their bigs are still out. Ivichas is waiting to get cleared by the NCAA, and then Big O, and then of course Aaron Bradshaw are both still dealing with injuries. But for the most part, Trey Mitchell, hell of a pickup, right? Justin Edwards, another guy, he's going to start to get it going game by game by game. I think he's probably their biggest key. Adu Thiero, another guy, glue guy, does everything. So as a whole, the talent is there. It's all going to fall on the shoulders of Coach Cal and how he's able to distribute minutes and understand what lineup is the most effective late in game situations, right? Crunch time, 5 minutes left, overtime like it was tonight. You got to figure out what is your best 5 because there's so much talent that somebody's not going to play. And even if they're mad, it's not going to matter because as long as you're winning games, that's all that matters. But you just have to figure out who's your best 5, who's the guys that are going to take you over the hump when you're down big, when you're up big, whatever the case may be. You need to figure out that 5. That 5 is going to be key because, again, right now, he can go 10 deep easily. But you got to find the 5 that clicks the most because that 5 can carry you back to a Final Four.
100%. Trey Mitchell looked good too. I know he's on his 16th team in college basketball, but boy, he looked good for them. He gonna be crucial for them and all that. But they I think they're gonna be all right. They're gonna be straight. Like I said, once they get the bigs back and all that, they gonna figure it out and all that. So I'm not gonna trip on them and all that. And with DJ, he's gonna be all right. He's it's the freshman. What about Justin Edwards? That to me is someone they got to get right. I know like I said, he's a freshman, so it's a lot and all that. But obviously, the people had a lot of expectations for him and all that. And it seems like he's just playing a little bit scared right now. And today was better. Today was better. He was definitely more efficient. Didn't take a lot of shots, but he was more efficient. But it just seems like so far he's been a little bit, maybe reading a little bit of the press, number one pick and all that. Maybe that's just getting to him a little bit. But what do you see in his game that do you feel like that's been, tripping him up so far?
I think he's a little tentative, might be overthinking it, because with him, it's been the same thing for me when it comes to Justin Edwards, and that's 3 dribbles maximum. If you can't get to the rim, if you can't make a play, give it up. It's just that simple. You're in the college basketball game, it's nothing like, I always say this, it's nothing like high school. It's nothing like the NBA. If you can't make a play within 3 dribbles, give it up, because the defense is waiting for you to take that 4th dribble, and they're trying to steal it every single time because you don't have that much spacing to work with.
Especially in that zone, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not too worried about him because I just know his game is simple, right? If you can't get to that 2 dribble pull up, if you can't get to the rim, give it up. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to be a first round pick? You're going to be a first round pick if you just trust the process, trust your game, trust what got you here, trust your coaching staff, and most importantly, trust your teammates. And not saying that he hasn't done that, but it's just all about embracing your role. And he could end up, I still think it's a chance he ends up more than likely being the best player on this team, but it's all about, again, finding and figuring out your shot selection. The same shots that you took in high school are not going to be the same high quality shots that you're going to get in college. It's just a whole different game. So I'm not too worried about him just because he has shown flashes. He has shown good plays, especially defensively. So I'm just like DJ. I'm giving him time. He'll figure it out. He's too good of a player not to. And so he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him whatsoever.
Yeah, I hope so. He gets right. I know a lot of people are getting on him, because a lot of people thought he was going to be a potential number 1 pick, number 2 pick, that type of talent and all. And he's still that. But like I said, just probably maybe reading the press clippings a little bit too much and trying to prove why he should be, a top 5 pick and all that. But, you got a team that's very young, especially, with their guys and all that. So it's going to take time to adjust. They're going to be all right. It's still early. People need to relax. Don't give up on the kid already. Same thing with DJ. Everybody's like, oh, no, he ain't good. He's not like his dad. Let's slow it down. Like you said, especially with Kentucky guards, with Shea. Look at Shea. Like you said, Shea. Nobody saw Shea, and now look at him now. Like let's just calm down and all that. But I want to play a little overreaction. What are we overreacting to? Give me a few things that you're overreacting to right now, whether it's good or bad.
First one off the rip, I've been thinking about this ever since I watched them play their first game. Houston's going to win the national championship. I'm a firm believer in this. I'm not even just saying Final Four. I'm saying Houston is going to cut down the Nets. Obviously, I'm rooting for my Spartans to do that, of course. But I'm just saying, as an unbiased college basketball fan, I'm a firm believer in this Houston team, man. When I look at them, you have 3 guards that can, not even 3, you have 4 guards that can all, no pun intended, get a bucket whenever they want to, between Jamal Shead, LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, and they got Damian Dunn coming off the bench. Damian Dunn is a player that's capable of going for 20-plus on any given night. On top of, you got Javon Roberts, you got Javier Francis, you got Terrence Arsenal off the bench as well. This team is filthy. Now, people aren't talking about them like that right now just because they haven't played a top 25 team. But I promise you, they're going to be one of the best teams, not just in the Big 12, but in the country. And it's funny because this past offseason, everybody was saying, oh, they're not going to win that many games because they're going from the American to the Big 12 like a major leap. I'm like, are y'all crazy? You know how hard it is, regardless of what conference you're playing in, you know how hard it is to consistently win 30-plus games a season? Kevin Sampson's doing that on the regular, and I promise you, this year in the Big 12, they're going to finish no lower than 4th. no lower than 4 because I haven't even seen 3 teams better than them so far. And again, they haven't played nobody that great. But I believe in this Cougars team so much. LJ Cryer is a man on a mission. He's in
Man,
his final
what a
year.
pickup from Baylor. What a pickup from Baylor.
And he's from Houston too.
Yeah.
He's from Houston. So he's more motivated than ever. And I'm telling you, Houston is a team to watch out for. Again, haven't played nobody, haven't been in the press like that. But trust me, when they're getting overlooked is when they're at their best. And so that's my first one.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, when it's crazy because a lot of the thing was, like you said, going from the A-10 to going to the Big 12. Obviously, that's a big, but I heard somebody say this today. They're like, that's actually an advantage for them because you have to adjust to their game and their style. And in the Big 12, where it's more like, it's kind of like with their football, it's like it's an offensive type of league. They're not used to physicality like that, like Houston. So actually, this is an advantage for Houston. This actually benefits them, while all the other teams have to adjust to them because they're not used to that type of team, with physicality and all that. So to me, I was like, yeah, they're gonna be fine because the team's got to adjust to them more than they have to adjust to these other teams and all that. So, I think they're in a good shape, and I can even see BYU. They're having a nice little, they're transitioning well and all that, and then we're seeing some of the the teams that were up top kind of struggling and all that. So Houston could be running this. It might be Houston and Kansas, and I'm sure we love to see that because those are two heavyweights. That'd be a good matchup and all that. But yeah, Houston, I wouldn't be surprised if they're there at the end because they definitely got the squad.
Team. I love this team, bro. Even think about it, right? One of their biggest staples of their program, they love to pause, double team the post. Mm-hmm. Look at Kansas. Kansas has no spacing right now. So what is Kansas going to do when Hunter Dickinson is getting double teamed, when Kevin McCullough is getting double teamed, when KJ Adams is getting double teamed?
Can't shoot.
They match up perfectly, right? So I can't wait to watch them play in the Big 12 because they're going to be fun as hell to watch. So that's my first one. My second one, I'll count this as an overreaction, but I feel like this all summer long, and I'm glad that it looks like it's starting to come to fruition. Indiana and Maryland are both going to miss the NCAA tournament. Neither one will play in the NCAA tournament. Mike Woodson is not going to make the NCAA tournament, and Kevin Willard in year 2 is not going to make the NCAA tournament. Indiana has skated by with wins over Florida Gulf Coast and Army, and even Wright State. They probably should have lost that game. They finally lost yesterday versus Uconn. And then Maryland has lost to UAB. They lost to UAB and Davidson in back-to-back days. And then
spanked.
Following that, later that week, they ended up losing to Villanova, where I think they finished the game with 40 points. They scored 40 points in the
57 to 40.
So,
scoring 40 is nasty. That's nasty. In a college and when you get 2 halves, 20 minutes each, that means you scored 20 points each quarter. That's nasty. Nasty.
You scored 1 point per minute.
Exactly. You legit 1 point a minute.
And when I look at that, man, like I'm laughing at all the people that gassed up both these teams because the flaws were enormous with both these teams. Indiana doesn't have great guard play, and their best 3 players essentially are all power forwards and centers, and they can't play next to each other because there's no spacing, 1. 2, when it comes to Maryland, I feel so bad for Jameer Young because it just feels like it's just him. And Jameer Young is a top-tier guard in the country, not just the Big Ten. And right now it looks like he has to literally put his team on his back because Deshaun Harris-Smith is going to be good, but again, he's a freshman. It's still taking some time to adapt. Yeah. Jamie Kaiser, everybody was in love with him because he was their leading scorer in that overseas trip wherever they went to. He's not even playing like that right now. Kevin Willard doesn't even trust him to play in games right now, so that's very telling. And outside of that, defensively, their communication is horrible. In that game versus Davidson, Dante Scott got so caught up watching the ball in the last play of the game that he completely lost his man. His man just floated to the corner of the 3-point line on the right side and just hit it for game. And so when it comes to both those teams, I don't see them making the tournament. And if they don't, if this comes to fruition, that's going to be even worse because the Big Ten this year is bad. It's bad. So That'd be my second one for sure.
Yeah, Kev, Maryland. There is 362 college Division I teams. I love these stats. These are my favorite stats. Where do you think Maryland is ranked out of 362?
I'll go 280.
Let's put that's being too nice, man. They're 348th in the country, behind University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Shout out to them. I know a lot of alumni from that school.
Mm-hmm.
Western Kentucky, and a whole bunch of teams that Green Bay, not the Packers, Longwood, Houston Christian, and Dartmouth are ahead of them.
What's that?
3-point percentage.
Oh,
they cannot make a 3-pointer. They are shooting 21%. At one point, your Sparties were there, but you guys definitely went up in the rankings and all that. You guys are, I think, in the 200s right now, so not too bad. No, you're 319 behind. You're in front of Manhattan. You're right behind Manhattan. But that's not good. And like you said, Maryland, they had a lot of buzz coming into the season and all that, but it has been a rough start. And to score 40 points in a game, like I said, is nasty work. And they can't hit a shot. They cannot hit a 3-pointer at all. And that's a recipe for disaster. And even if they do make a run, we know how that usually ends if you can't make the 3. It ends bad. So Maryland, yeah, it's tough. It's tough being a Terrapin right now.
Bad. I feel bad for the Terps, man. Shout out to Scott Van Pelt and the rest of the Terps because y'all deserve way better out there in the DMV area. But my last overreaction, this probably not even overreaction because this just might end up being true. But Trey Alexander is going to win the Wooden Award. He's going to be the National Player of the Year. He's averaging 20-plus points per game right now. He's a monster. He's had so much roster turnover between Kaluma going to Kansas State, Nemhard going to, of course, Gonzaga. You bring in Stephen Ashworth, and he just stayed the course. He's literally just trusting the process. And the craziest part about it is people don't even remember this. Coming out of high school, he was actually originally committed to play at Auburn, and he decommitted and ended up going to Creighton. Now, imagine if he were at Auburn right now. They'd be a juggernaut, but that's a different conversation. But when it comes to this Creighton team, I mean, you look at the top of the Big East between Creighton, Marquette, and Uconn. What else can I say? And Trey Alexander, to me, slowly but surely, every single year, he's only gotten better and better. And this year, he's the clear focal point of that offense, and he's living up to it. And again, they're only 4 or 5 games in, but to me, with him trending in this direction, every single season he's gotten better out there in Omaha, Nebraska, and he's going to continue to do so. And so if you know me, I've been a big believer in this dude since he was in high school coming out of Oklahoma City. He's only gotten better and better, and he's put it all together this year. He's playing with a ton of freedom. Got to give a lot of credit to Coach McDermott for, enabling that freedom for him, and he's taking advantage with it, and he's running with it. And so salute to Trey Alexander, because if he stays on this current trajectory, it's no doubt in my mind that he's going to end up being the best player in the country, and he probably already is right now today as we're speaking.
Yeah, he's had a really good season, and he's definitely he's risen up a lot of people's draft boards and all that. He looks like he's just on a different level this year. Like sometimes you could just tell, right, this guy's an NBA player and all that, and he definitely has that, and he definitely looks the part and all that. So that's definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there. Creighton, and what if Creighton, Creighton made the Elite Eight last year when they were kind of up and down. Wouldn't be surprised if they're there at the end in the Final Four and all that. So those are some good overreactions and all that. I got one. I said this before. I think Miami's going to the national championship. I think they go to the national championship.
Yes, sir.
I think you got me on it. You got me on it. I was overreacting to the bench and all that. I'm going with that. I'm gonna give you one that's gonna be shocking. Duke does not make the Sweet 16.
Wow. Wow, you gotta elaborate on that one.
There's just been something in my gut. There's been a lot of early season shooting struggles, and I know Duke's still trying to figure out Tyrese Proctor. There's just something about that they're shooting that's going to bother me, and they don't have that fix, and also the size they don't have off the bench that they've had in previous is not there. Like last year, they had it, but they don't have it this year. And Flip is out. You got that man. I don't want to say his name, but he gonna be playing. He's a traffic cone. I don't want to even say his name, but if I'm gonna go bold, I'm going bold. That's gonna be. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, I hope I'm
Yeah,
wrong. But there's something been in my gut saying like, yo, they can not make the Sweet 16, and that's not good. But I don't know. That's
man.
a prediction that I hope I'm wrong. So I'm just putting in the air. So hopefully, it just goes away somehow, and I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But that was my bold prediction. I think Miami, goes to the final, goes to the national championship, and I think Duke does not make the Sweet 16.
All right, so
I'm sick.
I gotta
To
respond to
hear
both
that.
of them. Okay, so
Respond, please respond.
the Miami one, you already know. I'm completely
Yes,
with you. I've been
you
trying to
you
tell
got me
people
sold on that. You got me sold on
I've been
that.
trying to tell people all offseason. People were so focused on they lost Isaiah Wong, they lost Jordan Miller, they lost Anthony Walker in Indiana. I understand it, but again, if you've watched Nigel Pack going back to when he was in high school, coming out of the state of Indiana, and of course, where he started off at K State, you could tell he was a monster, right? You add in Matthew Cleveland from Florida State, 5-star player in the class of 2021. Everybody had him on draft boards before he got to college, right? You already had Bensley Joseph, solid point guard. You already had a whole bunch of guys. Norchad Omier in his second year in the program. When you look at this team, they just have it, right? And Norchad Omier is an undersized center, but he is a bully, right? He understands physicality. He understands timing of rebounds. He just plays a great game. He's Nicaraguan, excuse me, and he just knows how to play properly, right? He doesn't do anything crazy. He rebounds his butt off. He had some crazy moments in that game versus K-State the other day where he just looked like a beast. He runs the floor like a bull. They just have it, right? So I've been high on Miami, and again, if they make it back to the Final Four this year, I would not be surprised the least bit. And then with Duke, man, yeah, hey, what do y'all? What's the fan base? What do y'all call yourselves? Not the Brotherhood. It's something else.
Brotherhood.
I mean, yeah, but they not gonna like to hear that one though. But
Oh no, Brotherhood gonna be mad at me. They hear this
I
one.
hear you, and I feel you too. Just because, again, the rim protection is a concern. And then the bigger story that a lot of people aren't really talking about is we thought we were going to get a major jump from Tyrese Proctor, and he hasn't shown it,
Worried.
right?
I'm a little
And
worried.
and that's my thing. Well, people aren't really talking about. Imagine if Jeremy Roach didn't come back to school. It'd be
And everybody was just like, yeah, if he goes, and all that, and like he might have saved us. We might have one more loss in the column there,
exactly right.
maybe, and like maybe we're not feeling as good because, like I said, Proctor's struggle and all that. We got young guards and all that, backing up, and it's like, and we don't have perimeter shooting. We have the zero, and we usually always have one sniper, at least one. It feels like every Duke we got one. There's none. There's not that. Got Mark Mitchell just doing some stuff that he's doing way too much and all that. And it's Flip. It's Flip. Flip's doing everything, but he's not really a perimeter shooter. I mean, he can shoot it, but that's not his game. You want him to, he's more inside out than outside in. I wouldn't be, but that's the recipe. Like if you can't make perimeter shots and you can't protect the rim, you get bounced because this has happened before to them too, and this is what happened to a lot of teams that get bounced early. So that's just a feeling. I hope I'm wrong. I know this is bad feeling and all that, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Maybe it's not all the way in it, but if you told me they get bounced in the second round, and I'd be like, oh, they probably shot 20% from three, and they couldn't protect the rim. They just get like guys just go to the rim at will. Wouldn't be surprised, Kev, if that happens. I'm just saying. I'm putting in there, so maybe they just get rid of it, and then we're in the Final Four, and I'm getting ready to sing One Shining Moment, but it's just a feeling. I don't know. This team, I think they'll be good. I think it's gonna be done Miami. Carolina's gonna be in there too, and all. Maybe Virginia. I don't know about after today, but
yeah,
they're always in the mix. But I don't know. It's just a bad feeling.
Duke Nation, y'all better clip this, man.
Yeah. I went for picking Duke, Michigan State in the Natty, and it's like Your team can't hit a three. My team can't hit threes.
Bad.
It's bad, but no. Hopefully, I'm wrong. You know, uh, yeah, we need Coop there. We need Cooper. We need Cooper. He can reclassify again, double reclassify, get him there because we could use it. But yeah, it's just a feeling. I don't know, Duke Nation. I'm sorry, Brotherhood. I'm sorry, all that, but it's just a feeling. I don't know. I've had this feeling for like a few days. I'm like, oh, I don't know why I'm feeling this. This is like, I forgot what year it was when we were the 2 seed and we lost to Lehigh. For some reason, I keep having those Lehigh vibes this year. I'm like, yo, why do I have these Lehigh? Why am I getting that type of feeling? Because we don't really have that true go-to guy. Like Flip is that, but to have a big as your go-to guy is like it's different than having a wing like the Brandon Ingrams we had, the Tatum, Zion. Like it's different,
Yep.
Like even like we had Okafor when we won the Natty and all that, but we had Jones, we had we had pro. We had a bunch of pros on that team.
Yeah, Winslow,
yeah, Justice Winslow, and was a top 5 pick. So I don't know, just bad feeling. Let me just stop talking about that because I don't need to put that much bad juju in there. But anything you wanted to cap off? We had a nice night of college basketball and all a good weekend and all that. Some great slate of games. Anything you want to add before we close it out?
Yeah, man, just enjoy these games. Feast week is always one of the better parts of the season because it's nonstop action from like literally 9 in the morning my time, Pacific time, till 9 at night, if not later. So it's great. Enjoy time with your family for those out there getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, of course. Just enjoy college basketball, man. We about to get into conference play soon, but enjoy these non-conference games. My team will be out here in Palm Springs this Thursday playing against Arizona on Thanksgiving Day. So I cannot wait for that. It's going to be a hell of a matchup to get up and watch. So I'm excited for that. But it's going to be matchups everywhere, right? Marquette and UCLA are playing as we speak. Kansas, they're going to have to play somebody, right? Whoever wins Purdue versus Tennessee is going to see a good team. So all I can say is just enjoy these games, and we're going to, keep putting these episodes out, and we're going to keep watching games and enjoying them to the fullest, man. So stay on the lookout.
When can we stop putting Chaminade in these tournaments? I understand they did whatever they did. They were upset and all that, but you can't even click them on ESPN. You can't even see their stats. Like they're not even a real team. Apparently,
it's because they're a D2 school, but they put them in there because they're from Hawaii. So you got to kind
of represent. I know, but that's like, all right, we get it. It was a cool story. Whatever money, like, all right. You can't see them getting dumped 30 points in the Maui because they're from there, or they had whatever happened 30 years ago. Well, I think they upset a team, right? Is that why they upset a team? It'd be somebody good, I think. I forgot. It's like, all right, let's not do that no more. Let's stop being nice. Participation trophies and all that. Hunter Dickinson's about to have a 40-40 game. Like, let's chill, Chaminade. But all right, that's going to cap off another Get a Bucket podcast and all that. We're going to start doing more. I got some more free time. I'm not going to fall asleep before it. A lot of times I tell Kev, yo, let's load up, and I just fall asleep because work be a killer. But we're gonna be definitely doing a couple shows a week and all that. So stay tuned for more Get a Bucket. We're gonna get you guys ready for this college basketball season. It's gonna be all ramped up and all that. A lot of good games and all that. We'll try to get another one by this week. But that's gonna cap off Get a Bucket podcast. Kev, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, sir. As always, all social media is at Kevo Mufasa 7, KEVOO MUFASA 7. Follow me, I'll follow you back, man.
Yes, sir. And you can follow me off the ball pod, talking everything NBA, college basketball, recruit, and all that good stuff. Hit me up. Always love talking ball, as long as it's logical. Because there's a lot of too many irrational. That should not be talking basketball and all that, but I digress. But yeah, follow me off the ball pod, follow the network, off the ball network. Go to offtheballnetwork.com. We just got Nick Condra just posted a great article. Omar Parsons posting some great articles too. Check out those last 2 articles that those 2 guys put. They post always great work on the network. Make sure to check out all the shows we got. See you Sunday. Overreact. We didn't do an overreaction Monday, but we're gonna try to do one tomorrow and all that. Talk about the slate of games and all that. We got Monday Night Football going on right now and all that. Make sure to check out the sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for your ticket needs. $20 off. We got college basketball season. You can essentially get a free ticket. You know, these tickets are cheaper and all that. Some of these essentially get a free ticket if you use the promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps. Go to college basketball games, NFL, wherever, NHL, wherever you want to go. Off the Ball Network, all caps for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. But like I said, that's Kev. I'm Chris. Get a Bucket Podcast. We out.